The trust aspect is so important.
Yeah.
I've heard that from everybody,
Yeah.
and it is almost like a non-starter if you can't earn that trust. And I don't know, maybe you answered it, but earning that trust is done how?
Well, doing what you say you're going to do. I'd say one of the things that, you know, hey, if you ever want to shoe with me, text me and let me know. When you text me, I need to say, great, let's do it at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. And then I need to show up and then we need to shoot and we need to practice it and I need to help make you better. And then if you want to do it again, I still have to show up for that. If I say to someone in a meeting, oh, okay, you're having a hard time off ball. All right, I'm going to make sure I pay attention to that so I can try to help you with that during practice. I need to do it. Like, you can't just talk about stuff and then not do it. It's just, again, being authentic and doing the things you say you're going to do. And whether that happens with one person or with everyone, they all see it and they all talk. And you're speaking to everyone all the time. They're all
Yeah, that
watching.
sacrificing your time, just giving it selflessly, and they go, "Wow, geez, I guess if they're showing up on a 1 o'clock on a Saturday, they must really
Yeah.
value, like really are, diving into my career." Is there something that your dad told you before you got into coaching? Is there something that Belichick words of wisdom that he gave you that you still hold true to this day? Or did he say, "Don't do it"?
Right. No, it was, I think that it's so funny because last year I was like, Dad, if you want to come work for me, let me know. I'm like, we can do that. He's like, I don't want anything about lacrosse. And I was like, honestly, come coach me. We do want. No, but I think honestly, like over the years, I've been so fortunate to be in environments where I was able to go watch him or sit in on meetings here or there or having phone calls. And we practice in the morning a few days a week. Like we have phone calls from 4:30 to 5:30 in the morning when we're both driving. And I think just being able to talk to someone outside of your sport it's not your boss, it's not someone that you trust that you can be open with. And how do you manage this type of player? Like, it was always a lot of our conversations are based around team building or how do you manage these types of players? Or if you're having this kind of conflict, what do you do? How do you anticipate conflict? How do you anticipate problems? How do you, like, that type of stuff, I feel like has been a lot of our conversations over the years. I think for me, and I go back to what we were talking about at the beginning, but just being able to watch his work ethic and hear consistently from him over time, I think has made probably the biggest impact on me. That even once the success started to happen, that doesn't change things. It makes it harder. It's not, you just have to keep going. And every year is different. And every year is a refresh. I remember years after he would win a Super Bowl and we're flying home on the plane and everyone's like exhausted. And he's sitting there like thinking about what's next. And I'm like, it would get to sit next to him and it's, what are you doing? And it's like watching the film, and it's seriously
Yeah, that
like
is,
that type of experience for me just shows what it takes.
it takes a lot. And you got a family of your own, and you have your own family, and then you got your lacrosse family.
Yeah.
Which one has a stronger pull? Who is pulling you with the stronger force?
Depends on who you ask. No, I think the thing I've gotten better at is compartmentalizing and being there when I'm supposed to be there, wherever that is. And
Yeah.
the file cabinet analogy is one that I learned a long time ago from my dad. And like kids don't even know what a file cabinet is anymore. But you open one drawer, and if you open all of them, the thing pulls out, like the whole thing topples over because of the weight. And they're built so you can only pull one drawer at a time. Don't try to do everything all the time. When you're at work, when you're at home, be home. When you need to do other things, whatever those things are for you. For our players, if you're at practice, you can't study. If you need to study, this isn't where you need to be, then let's have that conversation. You can't study. Here's to stop worrying about school. Show up, work hard, and then you can leave and go do your thing. And I think that's something, again, in just being authentic and being do what you say you're going to do. When practice ends, it ends. Then yeah, go study, go do whatever you need to do outside of practice. But when you're here, be here.
I'm stealing that one.
It's a good one, right?
I haven't heard the file cabinet. You're right. You're right. And
Like you can't,
yeah.
you can't take, we don't have file cabinets anymore. They don't know what it is.
In order to illustrate that, Coach, you may have to actually wheel
Might
in a
have
file
to
cabinet.
I might have to invest.
What if Staples sells any of those? I don't even know if they do anymore.
You need a file cabinet. Just put one in the locker room and see what happens.
They're like, oh, what is this thing?
That would have been a great first year investment. We didn't have a locker room. We didn't have a locker room back then. Just throw a file cabinet in there. You know, when you want to make a statement, when you're here, just be here.
Oh, it's so true. One more thing. How would you advise parents when it comes to the recruiting process, when it comes to coaching your kids, when it comes to parental influence with their kids? Is there anything that you can share as far as what you've seen that works and how much input and how much hovering they should have and how much they should stay away? Like any input on that?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I am so grateful for the team that we have here. Our families are amazing. They're amazing. They are so helpful. They're amazing. I think the thing that we try to do, and again, it comes back to communication, setting your expectations. I tell my players that if you have questions, if you ever had that feeling of, that feels a little weird, or I wonder, if you ever wonder what I'm thinking, that is your signal to schedule a meeting. Please do not waste time trying to figure out or wonder what I'm thinking. I will tell you what I'm thinking. I can't spend all day just telling you what I'm thinking. That would be a waste of everyone's time. But if you ever wonder what I'm thinking, ask me.
So you'll tell them that?
I tell the players that at the beginning of every year, but I repeat it throughout the year. And
do they feel like it's like a trap? Do they
No.
feel like, and they use it?
There's no consequence to it. You want to know, let's talk about it. And because that's their culture, our upperclassmen have that experience. Hey, I feel like it's like I feel like I should be playing. If you say that to someone, they'll say, go set up a meeting. I don't want to talk about that. Go talk to her. And that's what we do. And I think the other thing is that I say to the players, I hear this a lot from peers. I think a lot of people would advise, send your expectations to your parents, email them and tell them what you expect of them. And I don't disagree with that. I think, again, you have to be authentic. Do what's right for you and your program. I communicate to my players, and I communicate to my players, I am not going to talk to your parents about playing time. You are the player. You're the one who's here. I see you every day. If you can't come talk to me, then that's a different problem that we need to solve. I'm not going to talk to your player. I'm not going to talk to your parents. I will, if they're worried about you, call me. I would always, and that's something I share with parents, I think have over the years. If you're worried about something, call me. But one of the first questions I'll ask a parent is, have you talked to your daughter? Do they know we're talking? We should involve them in this conversation because they're the ones who I see every day. They're the ones we work with. I think the other things with parents, and maybe a caution, and I'm guilty of this for sure with my parents. We call our parents or whoever your person is when the best things happen and when the worst things happen. Like you don't call your parents when you go to lunch. Just so you know, I ate today. Like, you don't tell them that. You call them when like the best stuff happens and when the worst stuff happens. And so I think as a parent, the less you interact with your kids. And so a lot of these kids, the first time they're going away is to college. So you don't see them every day anymore. And so the phone calls you get are not mundane. Like they're not, it's, oh, how was school? School was fine. You don't hear that anymore often. Maybe not for everyone, but you don't get that. And I think reminding parents that could be what's happening. You might not just know what the middle is. They're actually fine. But something really bad happens, but you don't get a follow-up. I had this horrible class. Oh my God, class is going horrible. But it's actually everything's fine. And then the next day they go to class and they're like, oh, it was actually fine. Like you don't get the follow-up call. And so I think reminding parents about that sometimes is helpful, and reminding kids that's their parents' experience too.
That is so true. That is
like how many nightmare calls do you get?
That is all the time. All the time.